Well, this is really exciting. And we're going to start my talk now and tell you a little bit about how lucky I am, because my job is to be at the edge of discovery, to work with some of the most creative people in the world. And how many people have been to Amsterdam lately? Okay, good. Well, if you haven't, how many people want to go to Amsterdam? Okay, well, if you can't get to Amsterdam, you can come downtown Grand Rapids, right opposite the Rosepark Circle, and see the work of Iris van Herpen. So I'm going to be talking about a number of her works. This is an exhibition that opened a couple weeks ago, and she is focused on big questions about how the world works. And she uses the inspiration from nature, from technology, and has developed these amazing dresses, literally dresses and shoes, that really move people to wonder, what is that? So one of the things that she's interested in is air, and so I've shown a couple pictures that are inspired by air. This is a 3D printed top that's made from plastic. What we're looking at now is a dress that's made from umbrella tines. She literally took apart umbrellas and made these bird wings that for a series called Chemical Crows, that the jagged forms that fit on the body as she moves, it's like the wings of crows. Another area that she's interested in is water. And so she dreamed of surrounding a figure with splashes of water. Didn't really know how to do it, so she said, okay, let's prototype it. She threw water at her models with this and then took pictures with a strobe photography. She said, I think I've figured it out. She talked to some people who make 3D printing, because that's one of the things that she uses, and she said, I want to do this. Well, they said, you're crazy, we'll never be able to do that. So she not one to stop and accept failure, so she created herself by melting sheets of plastic. And at the museum we have these hands-on spaces where you can actually touch some of the materials that she makes the dresses. And then finally, this 3D printer people who said, no, we'll never make water, they came back to her and they said, well, we can't make liquid water, but what about ice? And so this is a dress that looks exactly like ice, crystal ice. And so she's been doing amazing things with that. Another element that fashion designers are interested in is skin, showing how much skin, for example. But we were all born in our own skin, and skin became our first original wrapping. But it's a metaphor for fashion designers. And so this harnesses the pliability of leather. This has been layered with lacquer and created that bat-like form. This is another kind of skin. This is actually the moon dress. It was a collaboration with a designer who mixed iron filings into this goopy polyurethane resin to make a mixture, and then moved magnets over it, and then it created those textures, and you can touch that. This is another kind of skin, this leather, which was inspiring to her, exploring radiation. And so she did the series called Radiation and gathered the leather into these waves and ripples as if you could vibrate the forms. The next body of work was about electricity, and here is one of the fashion models standing on a Tesla coil as they moved the electrical lightning rods out from beyond the body. Continuing on, she continued with other kinds of electrical inspiration, such as this piece, which was flat bodies of plastic that were coated with mirrors, and so as the dress moved, it shot flashes of light out along the runway. So each of these dresses have been on a Paris runway, but they're also now in the museum on mannequins. And so this is another piece from the Electricity series. And it's laser cut 3D polyester lace. And so it creates this kind of dramatic static which radiates out. And so there's these energy that she is able to pick up. And I think is really quite inspiring. Another thing that she was interested in, she gets inspired by the different aspects of her life. And this is inspired by skydiving. How many people have skydived? She's an enthusiastic skydive. She said that she's interested in the experiences before, during, and after leaping into the void. So that was the snake dress. And this is a dress which is like thousands of goosebumps. It's like these projections out. And and it's kind of a nervous energy that radiates from this piece, but when it's shown static, it almost becomes more a power, a column of strength. And then finally, from the Gravity series, there is these skeletal forms. These were printed with 3D printing. It's literally plastic. But her idea was that it's an exoskeleton that holds the body in place and holds the body steady when all control is gone during the free fall. And then finally, we're going to talk about wilderness or wildness. She's interested in exploring the tension between beauty and complexity of nature and technology. And so most of the dresses, if you think about your body, is symmetrical. Well, here she's gone pretty wild with this crazy asymmetry that is created by sliced up strips of woven silk. She also does shoes. We have 8 pairs of shoes, and on the left is the fang shoes. Pretty crazy tension between a frightening ferocity and a precarious imbalance. Whereas the right is a little more grounded, these branching roots, but still it's kind of slimy with the plastic. And then the finale is this dress with battling birds. And so if you look up closely, there's heads of the birds on the shoulders and the arms. And so imagine as the model is walking, the silicone laser cut feathers will swirl around. It's a tour de force with the shoulders twisting. So I invite you to come and see all these works and more, and enjoy the crazy fashion of Iris van Herpen.